What is up, gamers? Staxwell's back at it again today with another market watch. A lot has happened since the last market watch. I think it's been like 10, 11 days since we've done one, and there's just so much fab news coming out all the time now. I really should start doing these more frequently, but yeah, I don't want to waste any more time. Let's just go ahead and jump straight into it here. I need to address the elephant in the room. That is the KO Armory deck, the new player experience here. Flagship new player experience for the classic constructed meta. Cheapest copy on the market is $70, and tons of stores. I pre-ordered 2 of these myself, and the pre-orders got canceled. Tons of stores are canceling pre-orders. I'm not the only one that's had this happen to them, probably because of the price spike, right? So if you see them at your LGS for the retail price, if I think it's $40, $38, something like that, highly recommend picking them up and buying them. For obvious reasons. I think you should pick it up if you're interested in playing KO, which is what I was interested in. But yeah, even if not, then people are going to be buying them at retail and then selling them online for $70. It is a sad reality of the game. Great library of Solana has come down a lot. If you look just a couple weeks ago, it was at 160. Now it's down to like 135, 140-ish. So if you've had your eyes on that card, I guess now is the time. I don't think it's a particularly good card. But for some reason, it keeps popping up in a Prism list that tops here and there. And every time it does, it pops back up a little bit. So don't wait for it to pop up in another Prism list. Just go ahead, grab it now, and, kind of avoid waiting for that pop-off moment again. Balance of Justice, cheapest rainbow foil on the market is 140. That's not quite as interesting as the cold foil, of which there's only 4 left on the market. Cheapest copy on the market is 270. There's one up here unverified. And there's only one verified seller for 303. I think this card is definitely overpriced right now. It's obviously the better headpiece at the moment because there's so much Brute in the meta. But once decks that draw to are kind of out of the meta, Brute maybe won't be so popular one day. And when that day comes, if your 80 card deck only has room for one headpiece, you're going to choose Balance over Crown of Provenance. But that might not always be the case, right? And even if it is, look at Cold Foil Crown of Provenance. Cold Foil Crown of Provenance is like $120, $100. And Balance of Justice, I'm sure, will be there one day as well. It's just not at the moment because it's so meta relevant and because it's the headpiece of choice right now. That's not to say it always will be, right? I do think it's a fantastic card. Yeah, for $300, I would definitely hold off on it. Maybe just grab the rainbow foil for now. Civic Steps, the promo for playing in UPF, because we all love our UPF games. Cheapest rainbow foil on the market is $150. This is just absolutely insane. I'm not sure if it's enough to actually make people go out and play in UPF tournaments, but there you go. There's some motivation. If your LGS has a social play kit, then you have a 1 in 4 chance of getting Civic Steps, which is $150. Kind of crazy. And one's actually sold at that price too. So don't go in the comments saying no one's bought it yet. People have bought it. I've seen sales on Facebook and stuff too for similar prices. This is like the legit price of it. Ravenous Rabble, the promo, holding strong at $200. And don't say it hasn't sold for that because it's actually sold for more. Last sold $226. Kind of crazy. There is one here for $135. There's a whole play set. So I don't know if hopefully one of my subscribers is able to snipe that and grab it if you're missing it because it's just so under market. The next one after that 135 just jumped straight up to 200. Riptide, Lurker of the Deep, the cold foil hero from the RTN season a while back, has been seeing a lot of purchases. It used to be like a $70 card. Now it's up to $100. There's only one up here for $100. Then it jumps to $125. Kind of just lending credence to all of the hype for the upcoming Riptide specialization. Riptide's gotten support for like the last 3 sets. He's kind of creeping up on the edge of like being a good deck now. Right now he's kind of like an off meta, could spike a tournament deck. But yeah, only a matter of time until he actually is a good deck, actually is a tier 1 or tier 2 deck. It's kind of weird too, right? Because last spoiler season, there was all these unexplainable buyouts and things like that, particularly related to the specializations that were revealed later after the buyouts. But this season, we didn't get any of that. I don't know what changed. I guess people just aren't as interested in buying things out this spoiler season. Not 100% sure. But yeah, I'm glad to see that Riptide's finally getting some love. And, there's no weird buyouts or anything like that. Love to see it. Speaking of announced spoilers, that's going to be like a big theme going forward here. So I just kind of wanted to to get the buyout thing out of the way, no one touched Widespread Ruin, the extended art, until after the Vincent spoiler got announced as well. Kind of crazy stuff. But yeah, all of the Widespread extended arts are going kind of crazy. Widespread Ruin currently is $50. And then Widespread Destruction's $45. Of course, I'm referring to the extended art versions here. Yeah, beautiful cards if you haven't seen them. Vincent just got a very good card spoiled as well. I'm not sure it's enough to make the hero like good or broken or strong or anything. But it is worth noting that Vincent also has a really good interaction with Ward. So it's possible that with Prism's popularity and the potential popularity of Enigma, Vincent could have a spot in the upcoming meta. And then, people are looking to bling out their Vincent decks. Speaking of good interactions to Ward, Van Brandt's of Determination, cheapest copy on the market, is $13 for a rainbow foil. If you don't have this card yet, I highly recommend picking it up. You're going to need it with all the Ward floating around. It's just too good into it. Shimmers of Silver, cheapest copy on the market is $25. Enigma is shaping up to definitely want to be playing this card and definitely wanting to be playing Phantom Tidemaw. We didn't fully know how her playstyle was going to be, but now we have like the weapon and plenty of commons to be able to kind of formulate how she's going to play. And yeah, Shimmers, Phantom Tidemaw, definitely going to be played in it. So if you don't have your play set, I highly recommend picking it up, because if you plan on playing Enigma specifically, I highly recommend picking it up. Evo Steel Controller, this is the non-Marvel version of it, is $18.25. That's kind of crazy. So I was like, what are all the Steel Souls at? Look at this. This is insane. The Steel Soul Controller Marvel is $65. The legs Marvel are $45. And then just the regular legs are $33. Those ones are a little bit more than the head and the chest. That's because Slab Dash could play the arms and legs, as well as Teklovasin, whereas with the chest and head, only Teklovasin's playing that stuff. But yeah, it just kind of goes to show how little of Bright Lights was truly opened, right? It feels like if you lived it, if you were there drafting it, Bright Lights wasn't like the most exciting set ever. But I think as kind of some of these old heroes phase out, Teklovasin, Dash.io, these kind of things phase in, we're going to start seeing a shortage in a lot of these cards, in Heist, in Evo Steel Soul Controller, in Twin Drive, right? In all of these good Majestics from Bright Lights or Adaptive Plating, stuff like that is going to start going crazy, and it's going to start to show how little Bright Lights was opened, how little of it's on the market. Look, there's only like 6 listings of a lot of these cards, which is crazy, because how many Teklovasin players do you know? How many Slab Dash players do you know? You might know 1 or 2, but how many KO players do you know? You know what I mean? So it's just crazy how little of this stuff exists on the market, I think. Runeblood Incantation, another Vincent card, obviously also good in Viserai. It's also obviously good in Viserai. But I remember when Vincent first got spoiled, this card jumped to like $25 for the extended art. So when I see it at $4, just like alarm bells go off in my head saying that this card's too cheap. And I think if you don't have a playset, you should definitely get one. This card's kind of insane in Vincent. And it's also very good in Viserai. I definitely recommend picking it up if you don't have it, particularly if you're a fan of Runeblade. Up the Ante is also, I think, a bit undervalued. I think it's called something like Visit the Anvil or something. It's a new Olympia specialization that's coming out. That card doesn't seem like a meme to me. It seems like a very good card. I think you should be getting ready for it. Cheapest copy on the market is $5 shipped, and the cheapest rainbow foil on the market is $8.50. And for those who don't know, I don't know if it was like a misprint or if it was something they were just testing out, but for Up the Ante specifically, and I think of Corrosive Tendencies, these are the only 2 cards that came in heavy hitters that have this kind of foiling, but they have the stripe foil, like the pitch value stripe is foil, and so are like these 3 dots in the cost. It looks beautiful. If you guys haven't seen it, highly recommend picking it up. Beautiful card. Next thing I want to talk about is the Dusk Till Dawn Angels, the non-foil extended art heralds. The extended art non-foil heralds from Dusk Till Dawn are disappearing fast. Look, there's only like 5 sellers for the extended art Herald of Triumph. If you dig into all of the other heralds, a lot of them are disappearing as well. Not a whole lot of time to get in on this. So if you don't have your play sets, I highly recommend picking them up before they disappear forever. Mask of Predition, not a lot of people are talking about this card. When you look at it, you think like Arachne, like it's an Arachne card, but it actually doesn't say anything about contract. Granted, you need silver to buy it back, but all it does is destroy Mask of Perdition, target assassin, attack action card gets, when this hits a hero, banish top card of their deck. So the way new plays all of her stealth cards, like on hit, banish a top card. So, this is be a way to kind of turbo through your opponent's deck, find the blues you want to activate from them. And then I'm sure, because News Dagger gives the next blue card Go Again, and that's always been like Contract's problems. Like none of their cards have Go Again, so they kind of like just can't go wide. It's not that good. So I imagine you'll at least be playing the blue Contract cards, so you'll at least be able to have a way to make silver and buy back the Predition. Cheapest copy on the market is $3, $4 shipped, I guess. But another interesting thing about this card is the cold foil, $125. You're like, well, that's crazy. I think it was short printed or something. This is actually cheaper than it's ever been. This card used to be like $210, $220 for the longest time. So seeing it at $125 is actually kind of a deal, believe it or not. Next card I want to talk about is Redback Shroud. We've all seen that very pushed new card that is the yellow cost 2, something like that, which is kind of perfect. It costs 2, right? And then Redback Shroud makes something cost 1 less. So you could pitch a blue dagger, play a 0-cost stealth card, Redback Shroud into the new yellow attack reaction, kind of fits the curve perfectly. And then again, if you're playing those blue contract cards, maybe you'll get the silver to be able to buy back Redback Shroud. Is that worth it to play it over Tunic? I'm not 100% sure. It sounds kind of good. I could be convinced of it, but for $7, isn't it kind of worth the gamble? The cheapest rainbow foil on the market is, $7. I think if you don't have one and you're interested in the hero, you definitely should. The cold foil, I think, is kind of disappearing fast. There's only, less than 10 copies on the market. One up here for $30 shipped, and then they quickly jump up to $40. Hope some of my subscribers could grab the cheaper copies there. Next thing I want to talk about is pre-orders of Part the Mistveil, or sealed Part the Mistveil in general. For one, never buy pre-orders from TCG Player. It's just always a ripoff. And then number 2, if you are going to pre-order, I recommend pre-ordering sealed product, sealed booster cases, booster boxes, whatever. And the way LSS markets and incentivizes this thing, it's just never worth it to pre-order from your LGS, unfortunately, as much as I love to support your LGS. It's kind of set up in a way that you're just so much better off pre-ordering it from like a Star City Games, right? So let's pull that up. Star City Games, if you pre-order it from them, it's going to be roughly the same price as your LGS, except you also get a Cold Foil Slither token, which Cold Foil Slither token, if you compare that to other Cold Foil tokens, right? So think like the Cold Foil Hyperdriver token, right? The Cold Foil Hyperdriver token is $100. So this Slither token could wind up being more than the cost of the box one day. I'm not saying that that's gonna happen. I'm just saying we've seen it happen before. So if you're gonna pre-order it, you might as well do it from something like Star City Games or from Team Covenant or Alpha Investments, someone that's gonna get a special promo. Sucks for the LGSs, but that's just the way it is. That's the way I recommend doing it. Next thing I want to talk about is the Marvel Heroes. So when Heavy Hitters came out, a lot of people were very excited about the Marvel Heroes. As you guys remember, Marvel KO was like $300, $350. Marvel Kasai was like $500, $600. And I do feel very bad for the people who bought in at that price tag. And prices of the heroes have already dropped a lot. And that's not even like the worst part, because the worst part's kind of yet to come, right? When KO LLs, what do you think happens to the price of this hero? So when it comes to the Marvel Heroes, if you pull them or whatever, cool. Or if you want to buy them, cool. Just kind of keep in mind that once those heroes are gone, once they're LL'd, they're going to be taking huge drops in price. And I want you guys to keep that in mind when the new set drops, right? You might see a Marvel Enigma or a Marvel New or whatever, and it's going to look awesome. But just remember what's going to happen to that price tag. Remember KO, remember this moment, remember this video. And don't FOMO into that stuff too hard. Let the prices set a little bit, and then ask yourself, is it worth paying $190 to play KO for 500 more LL points, or Kasai for 700 more, or Enigma for 1,000 more? Is that price worth it to you? To some people, that answer might be yes, right? It's just not gonna get a lot of value after it's gone. Like for example, Icelander Stormbind. This was an RTN winner promo card, and at the time, it was $600. Now, because Icelander's LL'd, it's $285. And I know what you guys are thinking, but Stax, what if my hero is going to be good in the LL format? That's not going to save it, because look at Lexi Livewire. Cheapest cold foil Lexi Livewire on the market is only $86. In his prime, when Lexi was meta, this card was like a $200 card. So I'm just saying, be careful with the just be careful with the heroes when the new set drops. That's my biggest piece of advice as far as pre-ordering singles or pre-ordering sealed. I just wanted to drop that on you guys. That's all I got for you guys today. If you guys are going to be ordering any of these singles, please do so using my TCG player link in the description below. Costs you absolutely nothing, and I get a small kickback off of that. Thank you so much for watching. Later, gamers.